Okay, we can get to the Joey Diaz stuff as soon as April gets down here. So, our buddy Unique put out a video yesterday, and I don't say buddy ironically. I like Unique. I like a lot of these channels that just kind of clip stuff and go, here you go. I think it really helps long form talk shows like ours when they do their 5 or 6 minute clips that are digestible. It's kind of, I use these guys for show prep, man. TFATK is great. Unique does a great job. Too Lazy to Try is okay, but I feel like I feel like Too Lazy to Try is about to head into like doing his own show because his shit's getting more long form and he's also getting a little more nitpicky. I feel like Too Lazy to Try is a Red Bar fan. Not that that's a bad thing or a good thing, but he's definitely like getting into the more taking forever to nitpick a tiny little thing and like, as Kevin Brennan says, just fucking get to it. But I definitely use a lot of TFATK, subscribe to him. I use a lot of Unique. Kyle, he's great, subscribe to him. Groove Vinegar says, whatever happened to that retarded lawsuit that Schaub sent to Unique? I think that's still going. I think Unique and Brendan are still locked in their legal battle. But Unique put out this video yesterday. It was a clip from Joey Diaz's latest podcast. Apparently, Joey is quitting his podcast. Oh, no, Max Fisher is saying Unique won. I thought he got a few judgments. Oh, it got officially thrown out. Oh, well, then congratulations to Kyle. We should have had him on the show. How much did like, how long have I missed that one?
Can I get this quick?
How far off am I? I don't know. Because I would love to have him on and talk to him about the thing. But anyway, Joey Diaz stopped doing his podcast in an announcement that he made, yesterday or 2 days ago? And it's not so much the announcement. It's not so much that he's not doing his podcast anymore. It's that these fucking comedians, man, it's no matter how successful they get, no matter how old they get, they're all just the same fucked up, broken people. And I'm not saying this to mock Joey Diaz. Look, when I clip this and I put it up as its own independent clip, and by the way, watch our live shows Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. Central in the morning, every Monday through Friday.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put this up, and Joey Diaz fans are going to downvote the shit out of this. This is not a fuck Joey Diaz, I hate Joey Diaz kind of a thing. This is I'm using Joey Diaz as an example of all comics. They're just like, the more I deal with comics and the more I see of comics, the more I'm like, I always thought it was like the newer ones or the younger ones were really fucked up and had like mental issues and shit like that.
Yep.
It never stops. Like Joe Rogan is the most well-adjusted comedian I've ever seen. And I think it's because he didn't come from comedy.
No, I think he does that. That's something fun that he enjoys, right?
Right. But it's not, he didn't come from that. He had other things and then he tried comedy when he got older. He just tried it on a lark. He's not one of these guys who sits there with a notebook and I'm going to write this bit and I just love Bill Hicks so much. And I'm going to sit on a stool and I'm going to do notes and, oh man. And like I remember asking a comic once, it was when I was first started and I was emceeing at Benton Station. And I had a rough set and I felt like shit about it. And I asked the headliner, I said, hey, man, I got to ask you. And he'd been doing it for like 16 years. Mm-hmm. I asked him, like, when do you stop getting that feeling of wanting to die whenever you bomb? And he looked at me, he goes, and this is a guy who was headlining, he was doing stuff. He goes, I'll let you know when it happens. I'm like, you still haven't figured out how to deal with a shitty day? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Your life is just over right now.
Wrong Hole Rick says, wrong, Aaron. Joe actually puts time and effort into writing his dog shit stand-up routines. Oh. I went and saw him at the XL Center, not last year, like 3-4 years ago.
Bragger.
He was, I mean, I did laugh. I had a good time. He's not the greatest stand-up in the world, but he was funny. So Joey Diaz goes on his podcast, and you just feel really bad for Joey by the end of this because you're like, dude, you've been in movies. You're a Rogan co-signed guy.
Right.
You know, there are people who love this guy so fucking much. It's insane. And
confusing almost.
it's almost confusing because he's, no disrespect to Joey, he's kind of a big dumb ape.
I've always thought that.
He's just kind of big, no offense. I've never been a Joey Diaz guy. I liked him in The Longest Yard, but he seems like kind of a dumb guy. And in this clip, he's just so fucking bummed. And you're just sitting there going, I almost want to grab these comics by the face and I go, stop expecting so much out of your life. What's wrong with you? Like, everything is so sad and depressed, and I'm depressed and I'm sad, and my mental health. It's
you have to feel everything.
It's like people who should never be in the public life want it the most.
Oh, that works with most things. People that shouldn't be somewhere just desire to be right there.
Right. So here it is. Here's the clip of Joey Diaz on his podcast. There's a little unique here at the beginning, but I don't mind giving Kyle a little bit of shine. I love Kyle. I think he's great.
Yes.
His explanation of why, then I'm going to give you my thoughts on why he's really quitting his
Don't worry, we'll skip that part.
podcast.
I was only kidding.
He went on Andrew Schultz and talked about this a little bit too, so you can watch that on.
By the way, Andrew Schultz, I swear to God, is a CIA plant.
I don't know much about him.
I've never watched anything that made me laugh of his. That thing he did about Kanye and the Jews was fucking puke-worthy. And he just seems like a guy who's been put there by an industry for a specific reason. And we saw in the Kanye thing, it's because when his benefactors ask him to do something or character assassinate somebody they need hit, Andrew Schultz will be a good boy and do it.
Yes, boss.
Yeah.
The Flagrant 2 channel. Am I surprised? Yeah, not really, but let's see what Joey Diaz had to say about it.
Had an interesting couple days. For starters, again, I'm very sorry about the podcast. Listen, man, I started the podcast to get out of my funk. It helped me. I didn't just want to be a fucking bumpy sitting here. But let's face it, once I got my head together, I still couldn't fucking function. I still couldn't think of things, and I just got sick and tired of fake.
Like, again, it's all these guys. I got my head back together, and I still didn't give a shit. Well, then you don't have your head together.
No.
Take it's good that he's stopping his podcast if he's not doing well mentally, but don't come back. Take a fucking break.
I wish other people would come to that conclusion.
Right. Just like you need. I think Bob told Chad that yesterday. He just said, why don't you go to fucking therapy and just stop and go figure out your shit?
Right. If you're going to get on other people's streams and try to explain away all these bad things you've done because you've got problems, maybe you should go address that.
Go get it addressed. And the other thing that I can't stand about Joey Diaz is the fucking mouth noises.
Oh.
People who do podcasts and can't stop, could you, I don't know, do you need to put gauze in there during your show? What's the deal?
Right. Can you keep your tongue in your mouth?
Are we a Saint Bernard? Are we just over salivating all the time?
Or if you can't stop doing that, EQ your mic. Yeah. Man.
In the funk. I'm a lot better with you guys on this podcast. It's a little bit more personal. I tried to carry this over into the joint, but it just wasn't working, I did Andrew Schultz yesterday, and again, you go on these podcasts. These podcasts are successful because of the energy, guys. My podcast had no energy no more. I was getting burnt out just by the powers that be.
No offense, Joey, but you've never been a high-energy guy.
Not even once. Everything is slow motion.
And I can't figure it out with these comics now with their podcast. I actually give Kevin a lot of credit with this because he's like, no, I'm a podcaster now. I'm a YouTuber. I'm going to do my show 5 days a week. I'm going to lean in and fuck stand-up. I'm not going to do as many gigs anymore. Joey Diaz has, I think he does a weekly podcast, right? He does one podcast a week. You can't sit down for an hour. And it's not like Joey sits in front of a computer and preps a heavy show and, oh my God, am I going to talk about this? Oh, I have to book a really hard-hitting guest and I have to do my research for it. He sits there like an old man and rambles about old stories for an hour. And the people who listen to him are like, I just love Joey. Oh, Uncle Joey, he's so great. He's really, what's great about him?
So great.
He's Joey. It's like, Rogan told you to like him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Rogan told me to like him.
And it was just time to shut it down like I did with the comedy in January, just to see what the fuck you really want to do. I will continue the Patreon. This week we will not have a movie of the week because, to be honest with you guys, we were going to do a podcast this week, but he's recovering. He's going to be fine. I love the guy to death. He had me worried there, but...
People listen to this.
They say to me, this is... When I get to this point in a clip like this, it almost has me wondering, okay, what's the rest of my day look like?
Yeah,
what's
right.
the next story going to be?
So, with Joey here, this is just interesting to me because it's so indicative of everything I've seen from so many comics. It's just like they act like the fucking world is on their shoulders when they do a 1-hour podcast a day.
It's not
Or
really
a week, I'm sorry. Even if you did it an hour a day, that's not a very taxing endeavor.
No.
And Joey Diaz is letting this break his fucking brain?
Can you imagine if you specifically only did your show for an hour a day?
I'd feel like I was unemployed. I'd feel like I
It's-
wasn't doing anything.
I feel like I'd be robbing people.
Oh
you
my
know.
God. And it's not like I said, it's not like he preps a big show. He is, how's it going, everybody? How the fuck are you? How the fuck you doing?
I was worried about my friend. He got sick. He's going to be okay.
Fucking how are you fucking guys? Gotta tell a fucking story from the fucking 80s. There was this one time there was a girl. She had titties. Her fucking titties were titties. And I was loving titties at the time. So there was always the titties.
Joe.
And this fucking girl, I tell you, I looked at her. And she was fucking something. So anyway, we're going to do a podcast next week. And it's going to be a good podcast. And I hope you guys join us for it. Bye. Like, I mean, the guy's acting like, look, guys, it's been another great season of Seinfeld, but Larry David and I have just been in the writer's room all the time. We never see our families. It's really taxing on us mentally. I just got to shut it down, you guys. I can't tell stories from the 80s once a week for an hour because my brain hurts.
Dude, hang it up.
It's time to go.
Hang it up. It's okay.
Because
Like,
I don't think Joey Diaz is a bad guy. I'd like to see him take care of himself.
he does threaten people. But
That's true. He did threaten
I don't
Red
know
Bar.
if he's not a bad guy, but
I mean, Red Bar can get on
Red Bar
people's nerves. I
can
get
be a
it.
piece of shit to people, but that
Yeah.
doesn't... We have had, Aaron and I specifically, plenty of people be shitty to us without threatening them.
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
send the God.
That's-
I'm sending the Godgini brothers after Red Bar.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, you don't, like, they said worse shit than that, too. They got specific.
yeah, as much as I shit on Mike David when he shit on us, because you have to. Like, he does have he has a talent for getting under people's skin, and he got under Joey Diaz's skin. We got under Sam
Well, there's a
Tripoli's
lot of it.
skin to the point where he wanted to fucking kill him. Probably still does. But yeah, it's just depressing to listen to these guys go, I got a podcast once a week. I can't do it. It's too much pressure. Then you got to shut it down.
Well,
Not
with
just
a
the
gut like
podcast,
that-
all of it.
With a gut like that, I'm guessing it gets hard to catch your breath sometimes.
Now we're body shaming.
You know, it all works out, as we discussed on the fucking podcast in the previous fucking weeks. You know, so I won't have an album of the week up or movie of the week, but maybe I'll do an audio one. Who the fuck knows? You know,
How about you figure this shit out and then you get back to
Do you hear that loud ass inhale all the time, though? I'm right.
The inhaling
You
and the
can't
mouth
breathe.
noises are rough.
trying to figure this all out as I go along. This is not, I've never said I'm not going to do the podcast again or anything like that.
You just said you were shutting it down.
I just want to see where my heart takes me, guys. Sometimes, you know what, for years we're rushing ideas and I'm happy some of them work and some of them fail. I just didn't like where the direction, where the podcast was going. I wasn't getting any better at it. I put out the book. I'm all out of stories. I'm sick and tired of dipping into those stories, and I'll tell you why. I get anxiety from them. I don't know it, but I do eventually.
You don't know
because I'm
it.
thinking about that shit, so I had to shut off my mind to that. And I had shut off my mind to what's going to happen the next 3 months, and I'm just going to fucking play it by ear.
Were you in Vietnam?
I'm telling you.
Like, were you at war that we didn't know about? Like, you can't tell stories because your stories give you anxiety. Did you storm Omaha Beach and I wasn't made aware? Were you at the Bay of Pigs by chance?
Probably at January 6th.
Might have been January 6th. I can't tell my January 6th stories anymore, guys.
He breathes like Darth Vader.
I can't tell my January 6th stories because I was storming the Capitol with the Goat Boy. Just can't do it, guys. I just don't understand. And he's like, some of the ideas work, some of the ideas don't work. Joey, you don't prep. You just sit there and you talk for an hour. It's an easy gig.
Like, I don't know how many people listen to his show, but this seems taxing.
Yeah.
And we are only 2.5 minutes in.
You know what I think will happen? This is just between us. I think that I'll stop doing a podcast. And, after about a month or two, you still got something to say. My wife don't want to hear it. And my daughter don't want to hear it.
Oh.
And it would just be nice. I was just got off the phone with Josh Wolf when I got back from the doctor this morning. I had to go to the doctor. He looked at my knee. It's getting better. Blah, 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 blah.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh.
This podcast is too hard for you to do. You can't handle this podcast.
This is just a stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, you're just thinking to yourself.
I listen to some of these podcasts that my show is miles better than, and I go, I'm working too hard.
Yeah.
I do too much to put a show together.
It always
my
comes
knee
from,
hurts. I went to the doctor, and I thought about my friend.
It always comes from people, too, that, like, don't put any work into their show prep or anything.
Yeah.
They'll just skip it entirely, and they'll look at you and be like, oh, your show fucking sucks. You're not any good. You know talent hack.
Yeah, I could educate, with the size audience you have, I could educate you, and you could be a much better show. But, like, these guys, they don't do anything to put a show on, and then they say they have a show, and then it breaks their fucking brains. These comics are not cut out to be broadcasters. They can't handle it. These guys are all burning out.
Fickle.
You name it, whether it's that universe that we've been adjacent to. All those guys are burning out. All those guys, their numbers are dropping.
It is coming to a close.
Except, like, Kevin will be left standing, and everyone else will burn themselves. I'm sorry, Kevin and Carl will be left standing, and everyone else will burn themselves out because for some reason, doing the bare minimum to put a show on is somehow too taxing. And then people go, how does Steel Toe do all the content? I'm a professional fucking broadcaster. It's like asking Shohei Ohtani, how can you spend so much time in the batting cage or hitting pitches? He's a professional at it. That's what he does.
I miss out on lots of time with him because he's down here putting lots and lots of effort into his show prep for you people.
So you have a Joey Diaz. I can't do my podcast anymore. What? Why not? Why not?
I went to the gym afterward. But I was talking to Josh Wolf, and we were talking about when stand-up was just simple in our lives. I go, if I can just take it back to that. Because we were broke. We couldn't make rent.
And I guarantee when you were in that moment, you were like, wouldn't it be great if I could just do a podcast once a week and I had money? That would be the life. You always want what you don't have. When you're miserable, you look back at other things and you romanticize them.
Right, you only see like the good in it. You forgot how shitty it was.
Joey, you don't need a podcast. You need a doctor. You need to talk to somebody. Again, I didn't want this to be shitting on Joey Diaz. I wanted this to be like comedians in general. Stop being so fucking broken inside and incessantly telling us about how fucking broken you are and go fix it. I don't need another podcast of a comedian telling me how fucking sad he is and how difficult it is to talk for an hour a week. Go to the fucking doctor and figure your shit out. Joey's in his 60s at this point.
What would Carlin think of stuff like this?
You shouldn't be this sad in your 60s and talking about it on a podcast. You should either not be doing a podcast and be getting this shit fixed, or you should be in your 60s totally fine doing a podcast. One of the two. Comedians are so fucked in the head that Kevin Brennan is one of the well-adjusted ones.
I actually always, I'm severely confused by comedians sometimes because they sound so sad and in the dumps and depressed like him, but you call yourself a comedian, which to me sounds like light and jovial.
No,
and
you've
funny.
heard the term "the tears of a clown."
I have.
That's what it is.
It does very much seem.
I mean, when you do something for a living where you crave. And to me, this is a paramount distinction between a broadcaster and a comedian doing a podcast. When you crave other people's attention for a living, that comes from a place of an emptiness that you need to fill. Broadcasters typically acknowledge it and have fun with it. Like, yeah, obviously, we got something's fucked up with us that we got to, get your attention. But comedians insist that we've got our shit together and but you don't. You don't.
Much fun on Monday and Tuesday nights in Seattle at the Underground. It was just That was my open mic, guys. Even though I started in Denver and I moved, Seattle was my open mic. An open mic, you'll pick an open mic, and that's where you'll grow the most at. You feel comfortable. We all get comfortable. But that club I grew the most at. I'm very thankful for the opportunity. I had a funny feeling Seattle would bring out a different animal in me, and it did. Now back to...
Again, he can't do this podcast for an hour a week, guys. It's too stressful.
And I've got a feeling, like, how many times has he said exactly what he's saying right now?
Right.
He's just rehashing things.
He said before that I did the podcast for my mental health. It wasn't helping, so no, I'm not doing the podcast.
No.
Maybe I'll bring back the podcast.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you've got mental health issues, putting it out there on the internet is probably not the place for you, because people aren't going to just sit there and like hold you and be like, oh, Joey, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get you help. No, they're going to tear you apart.
No, Red Bar's going to tease you.
Tear you apart, man.
Red Bar's going to fuck with you.
It's not good.
Back to the podcast and all this shit. And, I just got to listen, guys, I don't want to do clubs anymore. I just...
Nor should you.
Why go get Starbucks with Mercy? There's a kid there that's an aspiring comic, and he gave me a list of all the little open mics, coffee shops, back rooms. That seems like more fun. You go, you talk to the young comics, you inspire them, they ask you questions. I get more.
This is a midlife
Who
crisis.
cares about the money? Who cares?
Not good.
That's the problem. We all want money, but we're not going to know what to do with it when we get it.
That's not true.
That's not true. Joe Rogan seems to know what he wants to do with it.
Not even close. That's what we've been fooled. So when you write your goals out, make sure you put down, I want money, but what you're going to do with it. What you're going to do with it, who you're going to do it with.
My brain's all fucked up. I can't even do a fucking podcast, but let me give you some life advice. And no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, if you and I were sitting here and we came into a whole bunch of money because we blew up as whatever, I guarantee you we'd know what to do with it.
Blah, blah, blah. Who you going to take care of?
Buy canoes.
But besides that, I'm happy
Gino's
about Memorial
girlfriend?
Weekend. I'm going to...
All right,
So, do you want to hear a little bit of Kyle's take on this? I'd be interested because he might know more about Joey Diaz.
I mean, Kyle will probably wake me up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Joey is just depressing.
I should have saved my coffee.
I can't believe, and again, I know Joey Diaz fans are going to watch this clip and just shit all over me for my takes here, but the guy's a bummer. I don't know.
Yeah, your guy needs help.
I don't know what you're listening to. I don't know how this guy, it became, well, he got a thing from the Rogan bump, but he had a career before that. Long
forgotten about now at this point when you're putting that shit out there.
Just a bummer. Delco Lou, no, this is Kyle's recording of it. That's not Joey's fault. Although the mouth noises, you got to get a better mic for those mouth noises. Eddie S. says, I think he's got a lot of Me Too's in the closet and wants to escape the limelight. That's been theorized.
Oh, that has been talked about.
That's been theorized.
For sure, yeah.
Wrong Hole Rick says, Delco Lou, he has a $500 mic. Nobody leveled it out. Yeah, you got to EQ it. Left-handed says, you're great, Aaron and April. The prep and dedication you put into your show are admirable. And I'm not just saying that. I appreciate that. I can return to a great show like this after my break.
I will say, like, when you come listen to this show, you do expect a different level of quality than other shows, I think.
Katie Kidney says, Aaron's prep work is just him searching the internet for stories while he takes a shit. I can't do it while I take a shit. I have to be sitting right at this chair and looking at a computer screen and reading.
I am always sending him stuff, too. Like, I mean, both of us really do care about bringing you guys interesting things.
So many comedians mask their brokenness inside. One example would be Robin Williams. Yeah, I mean, these guys just... They're fucking just all broken inside, and they want to tell us about it. And it's like these fans, if they were good fans, should just tell these guys, hey, stop talking to us about this. We can't fix you. You have to go talk to somebody. All these comedians should not be doing podcasts because it seems to be making them worse.
Yes, and it's because not everybody that you talk to on the internet will have your back. They're going to be shitty to you and make it worse. Okay.
Pretty sure Rogan recently said that Joey did a set at the mothership. He'll be fine. He will never need the podcast. Yeah, but now he's like, I don't want to do clubs. I don't want to do this. Like, he's just a fucking bummer, man.
Diaz doesn't do clubs.
Joey Diaz, Coco Diaz doesn't do clubs. Paul says Diaz is another boomer plummeting into dementia. That makes me laugh. No, it frustrates me to hear these guys just sit there and they did drugs and clubs and, you know, all this shit for years and years. And then they did this podcast, and then, you know, nothing makes them happy.
Well, and you keep saying, too, like when you put this clip up that the Joey Diaz fans will crucify you for it. They shouldn't be. They should be listening to their man and be like, dude, he needs some help.
Yeah,
they're not wrong.
Your boy needs to step away from all of it.
Like a lot of people say they care about someone or, you know, I'm for him, but like they only like to hear the shitty stuff happen to them.
Let's hear Kyle's take on it. Because unlike a lot of you, I like Kyle. I think he's very charming.
He's quitting his podcast, Uncle Joey's Joint. He used to do the one with Lee Syatt. Something tells me not having Lee is a reason why he's quitting this new one. But I think mostly what it is I don't think he likes sitting there and having to do the entire hour or more than an hour by himself.
An hour is warm-up.
Dude,
An hour is warm-up, Joe.
I would not like to sit here on camera by myself, but I do feel that if I was tasked with an hour, I could find my way through it. Okay.
I know he technically has a producer guy there with him, but that guy doesn't really ever talk. And I think he's just sick of, I have to sit here for an hour and just basically talk to myself. Whereas he's going to continue to do the Patreon thing. He's going to do that anyway, but it's just going to be, 15 minutes. It seems like a lot more manageable thing.
Yeah, and I guess if people are suckers enough that they'll pay the Patreon thing to listen to you talk for 15 minutes a week, I mean, more power to you. Is Kyle right? Is he lying? I don't think he's being phony here. I'm not going to insult Joey Diaz and say he's being dishonest. He reminds me of a lot of comics, just older.
Yeah, he's been through it now.
They're just
it didn't
so
get better.
They're looking for something, but they can't tell you what it is, and then they get mad when they don't find it. It's like, stop looking for it in us. We haven't given it to you since you were 18. Whatever it is you were looking for, we can't provide it for you.
We're not filling that hole
in
your life.
Figure out what that hole is and how you can fill it.
Instead of, I have to go on camera. I have to sit here and make up anything for an hour. And I have to babble and just babble and just babble. And
talk to Kyle. He knows how to babble.
See, maybe I think if he did it, because he drops it on a YouTube channel, that podcast is Uncle Joey's Joint. It's mainly free. If he just went live and got the live chat going and interacted with the people, I think he would like it a lot more.
And by the way, that's what the comedians are starting to do now. You're starting to see, COVID kind of killed stand-up. And you're starting to see a lot of these comics realize, if I can get a YouTube channel monetized, I can sit on my ass and make more in a live stream than I do a night out at the clubs.
My audience is right there.
Yeah. It's just sitting right there. And if you can't handle that, then you gotta drop out for a while. And my monk says Joey got burned out. I don't understand how you can get burned out doing an hour a week. I just don't.
Yeah, that to me, if I hopped on here with Aaron for an hour each day, I do feel like I'm stealing from people.
Right. It's like, that was too easy.
I can pay my bills somehow, but I only give these people an hour a day. Yeah. What a weird thing.
Well, anyway, that's the Joey Diaz thing. I found it interesting. I was listening to it at the gym yesterday, Kyle's video, and I just thought, fuck, how bad off are these guys? Money, fame, successful podcast where, you babble for an hour and that's it. That should be a daily thing. And they're just the most depressing, boring, saddest people.
I'm going to guess that when you're in show business of any sort and your flame is burning really bright briefly and you lose even a little bit of that probably takes a toll on you mentally because your ego is so into it.
You're not as big as you're still big enough, bigger than those of us who didn't have like a Rogan or a movie career or anything. You're still bigger than all of us, but you're not here where you used to be. You're not getting that same
when the
dopamine.
flame dulls a little bit.
You're not getting that same dopamine hit.